Good evening and welcome to the Everyman Podcast. Now, tonight we have a very special guest. We have Nick Hancock, and he's querying it here, saying that he's not an elite runner and a coach, where to us, as literally the everymen there's only one of us who can run a sub 20-minute 5K, and Nick has absolutely smashed that. I think he's being slightly modest compared to us, as we say, the everymen. Nick, how are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I don't mind the title that you've given of and coach. It's just the
Yeah.
elite runner bit.
Yeah, honestly, all we have heard from Reese is honestly he's so good at running. He's my idol. I'm trying to get him to bite here. He's my idol. One day I hope I can run a 17-minute 5K. I want a 70-odd minute half marathon. I want a sub 3-hour marathon. So yeah, I've heard lots of great things, and it's great to have you on. So thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for
How
inviting me
we
on.
tend to No, super grateful. How we tend to start every episode is we start just by checking in on each other and how we are, how our week's been, how we're feeling, what's going on in our lives, that sort of stuff. Because I think it's important not just that we talk as a group of mates about mental health and we bring guests on and share stories and experiences, but actually to make sure that we use this time to actually understand as a group of mates and make sure we're setting that time to understand how we're truly feeling. So I'll go with you first, James. How are you, mate? How's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad, to be honest. I'm a bit busier on work than normal. But yeah, it's not been too bad. Revising to do I'm sitting some exams this month as a part of getting my aircraft licenses. So I need to get some revision done for that. But other than that, it's going pretty well, to be honest. How are you doing, Reese?
Oh, I mean, I am not the best actually. I've had last week obviously missed the little podcast that we're meant to do. Had some family stuff come up.
Yeah,
just been feeling pretty well. The week before that, on the Friday, I was 8 months sober. Been in the gym
Well
on
done.
that day. I felt I felt great on that day, but then slowly over the next couple of days, I started feeling quite low and don't know. I sort of just been keep going to the gym. I have been feeling a bit better, but then last few days I've ended up with quite bad anxiety. Feel drained, low. I'm not sleeping properly. I've just felt absolutely crap, to be honest. And today I've drank quite a few energy drinks to try and pick us up because I've had such bad sleep the last few nights. And it's like got to the point where there's like I can actually feel like my heart beating type thing and like that, like handshake and tingly feeling, that anxiety. But yeah, I'm still running. I'm all right. That's pretty much it, really. I'm all right. I've got a few struggles and stuff. There's a few things happening. But yeah, I'm all right. I haven't picked up a drink.
Yeah, no, I think that's the super positive because you have got a lot going on at the moment. I don't think I am.
Yeah, no.
I think it's just a delay. Apologies again to everyone. My internet's not doing amazing. And I say it all the time. It's really ironic working for a telecoms provider and your internet doesn't work. But yeah, that is what it is. I think what's really great, because I understand some of the stuff you're going through at the moment. Again, right not to share because everything's up in the air. I get it. But what's really positive is you've managed to stay away from the thing that was always the bad crux in your life. You've kept away from alcohol, kept away from the things that you would self-sabotage truly and essentially fuck up your life way worse than potentially the situation you feel like you're currently in.
Yeah, self-sabotage is exactly the right way to put it, because that's been in my head quite a lot the last few days, and it's been something I've been tempted to go to, but I've put in too much work. I feel too good. Just my running. Obviously, it's relevant tonight as well to speak about the run. Like, my running's improved so much since stopping drinking, stopping smoking. It's like nearly 4 months off cigarettes now, nearly 4 months since I've had a bet. And I was tempted to have a tab. I was tempted to even just have a bet, but then I was scared that, if I do one of those things, And what happens if the drink follows? Well, it would follow. You know, like it's a complete like snowball effect, and I'm not giving in. I'm not giving up. I want to stay with what I've built. And on Saturday, which was my toughest day, I was 250 days sober, and I was like, I'm getting to 251, and I did. I got there.
Class. Love that, mate.
And so yeah, it's like it is tough, but at the same time, I feel quite happy because when I've been struggling, I wasn't even really that tempted to have a drink, and that's important, and that makes us feel happy and feels good. So yeah, I'm all right. How are you, Lewis?
Good. Definitely feeling positive at the moment. I think like my fitness isn't where it was a few weeks ago. I have to be honest. I've kind of sorry, Reese. We're going to call it out. One of the listeners, and it is James's mum, bless her, saying that you're doing amazing, Reese. So yeah, huge props to you there. Yeah, my running has definitely dropped a little bit. So I picked up a shoulder injury in the gym, and yeah, it's got to a point where like I'm just not sleeping. I'm probably getting like 4 hours a night at the moment, and I'm not asking for violins to get out. I need to go and see a physio or something and do something and stop using it as an excuse not to exercise. But since my failed marathon attempt, my appetite to go and run has just just dived. So yeah, for me, I'm really keen to speak to Nick tonight and understand how he went from someone who probably couldn't really run, as we all start off, to someone who can comfortably run, and the place that you take yourself to get through those times when you're pounding the road and your body wants to give up. Your mind might not want to, but your body starts to fail on you. So really keen to understand some of that. Work's crazy busy, but I feel like I'm in a fairly healthy place at the minute. As you guys know, broke up with my partner, trying to figure out what being a single dad is. That's not the easiest thing in the world. I have to be honest, that's really not the easiest thing, and that's probably the thing I struggle with the most. But you guys, the pod, our listeners who reach out a message about all different things, this has been the year where so much has probably gone not how I ever wanted my life to be, and I'm 31 in 2 days. Never would I think at 31 I'd be in the situation I am. But for so many ways, my life is way better. Like I talk way more about how I feel, what I think. I'm way more honest with myself, way more accountable with myself. So even though I'm probably not feeling 100%, I've got to look at where I was a year ago. And a year ago, I didn't want to be here. And a year later, I'm happy. So yeah, much greater. And try not to lower the tone too much, because I am in a good place. So have to make it, yeah, this is the thing I look forward to so much every week, the chance to come and talk to you guys. Nick, how are you? How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, week is only a day old actually, the week. So and it feels like a week in a day already, because I'm flying solo. My wife is off to Japan with work at the moment, so she went on Saturday. So, but yeah, all good. That meant single parenting yesterday, which actually was quite nice. I took the boys to the woods, and I splashed out on a drone a few weeks ago. So we had a little muck about with that. Yeah. Turns out filming on a drone is a lot harder than some of the bastards on Instagram make it look.
Do you feel like you've been missold?
Video, and it just looks shit. Yeah. It just looks so shit. Anyway, I'll work it out. But yeah, we just went to the woods, literally just up the road from here, and they kicked some leaves around, and there's this mound where my oldest son, when we first moved, he thought it looked like the Gruffalo lived in there, so we always call it where the Gruffalo lives. And then I gave in and took them to a soft play, which is like just hell on earth. But yeah, took them there. That was good. Nice day yesterday, and yeah, missing my wife a little bit, and I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about why I'm missing her probably a bit more than a husband might normally miss their wife when they go away. They're like, yes, a week without the wife.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a little bit like that yesterday, because I managed to do a couple of hours of cleaning and tidying. I'm very house proud, so got got a good couple of hours and sorted things out. And my idea of cleaning, by the way, is looking in a drawer and going, we don't fucking need any of that. Take the drawer out, dump it into a black bag, and take it to the tip. Yeah, that was the other thing the boys did for the first time yesterday. Was they got to go to the tip, which was like a day out for me when I was a kid. So otherwise,
did you let them throw stuff in? Because that was always when you got to throw stuff in. Yeah, that was a proud moment actually.
Yeah.
Did you ever see over the edge, Lewis?
No, I couldn't. I got a step ladder. Cheers, mate. You twat.
Pretty good. Just sort of trying to take each day and live it to the best that we can with what we've got going on as a family. I'm being all kind of cryptic here because I think we're probably going to get into it. So, I'm good.
Good. I'm really sorry. That just makes me think what's going on, and we can. I presume we're going to get there. So, and I don't want to laugh about it because it's probably not the nicest because we're on this type of podcast. So, I'm sure we will get there. But before we talk about probably where you are today and what your life is today, what I would be really keen to understand is where you've probably come from. A bit around. So having read your website and speaking to Reese, understand a little bit more about your story. Your story sounds very similar to what Reese's was, to maybe what mine was, and lots of the guests and the listeners that we have on the podcast. It sounds like you were a man maybe on the hamster wheel a little bit, and life was happening to you. You weren't maybe living the life that you potentially now have or wanted to have. So do you mind just opening up a little bit about that and where you were and what your journey looked like to get into where you are today?
Yeah. And I still feel like life is happening to me, but I think the way I don't sort of deal with it now is quite different. But I mean, so I'd spent many years working in hospitality. Bit like Reese, I know what it's like in hospitality. 20 years I spent in it. Most of the early years were great. I was a young bartender going around the world, chucking bottles around and making cocktails and living with other bartenders. I mean, my first proper bartending job, I lived with 6 other bartenders. I don't remember much about those years because I spent quite a lot of it off my face. Which was a shame, really, because as a kid, I was very sporty. I was, captain of the cricket team in school. I played county and country schools cricket. I played county level rugby, football. You name it. I was there. It was always kind of right. One of the first people to be picked was Nick. And I just got a job in hospitality as a Saturday job, collecting glasses in my local pub. 1996, something like that. Just how long ago it was.
Showing your age there, mate.
I know. And sort of very quickly, particularly I think being the kind of personality I am, I'm kind of all in or nothing. And I did go all in on it. And I left school early and started smoking. Started drinking way too early, and that was kind of my life for quite a while. And then I started kind of moving up in the world of hospitality, and I can't complain. I got into some pretty senior positions running. I was a director for a group of luxury bars and restaurants and nightclub in Dubai, and I worked at the Fairmont in Singapore. It's taken me all over the world, and I met my wife living in Dubai. She's from Hartlepool originally, but we met in Dubai. So I thank hospitality for that side of things. But particularly when I moved back to the UK in 2012 was it was a bit of an eye opener to. It was a bit of an eye opener to coming back into hospitality in the UK, having been away for a few years. Like Dubai, honestly, was a jolly. It was like a 4-year holiday, really, like working holiday. Even though I was in fairly senior positions, I had these multi-million-dollar P&Ls to run. It was one big piss up and one big laugh, really. And yeah, so coming back to the UK and I guess having to like properly work again was a bit of a shock, and the hours I was doing was where the problem was. And I went from job to job to job to job when I first moved back to the UK. I ran a couple of country pubs for a couple of different companies, and sort of every 6 months I was like, oh, this is shit. These guys are better. It's all going to be grass is greener. I went to work for Jamie Oliver's for about a year. Anyway, and then I ended up back working with a company I'd worked at way back in 2003. So I kind of knew the setup a little bit, but I forgot just how almost like a badge of honor it was to work 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, week in, week out. And the standards of that company as well were super, super high, to the point where I don't think it was intrinsic in her, but my boss at the time was just an arsehole. Like, I couldn't take any time off without getting a phone call from her, so yeah, it got to a point where the hours, the pressure, things started going through my mind, like, in hospitality, you want to go into a restaurant and all the staff are smiley and happy and making you have a good time and making sure that you're all really well looked after, but behind the scenes they're working their socks off. I guarantee you that you go into any hospitality venue in the UK or anywhere in the world really, and 90% of the staff in there will have at some point on a shift gone out the back and gone, for fuck's sake. It's just, it's hard, working those kind of hours and keeping smiling. Oh, how are we, guys? You having a nice night? That's how it got for me. In my head, I was, on the face of things, I was, just really amazing with my guests and making sure everybody was having a great time and stuff. But in my head, I was like, "Fuck you! I really hate you. I wish I wasn't here." And I actually, when I was working for Jamie Oliver, I did bite quite badly at a couple of customers that complained directly to Jamie about me, because they were just complaining about the stupidest shit. And I went, "Wow, you guys have got, if this is all you've got to complain about in your life, you're doing quite well." And they were like, at the time I was like, "Oh,
maybe
shit.
shouldn't
Did
have
I
said
say
that
out loud?"
Did
I say that out loud?
What were they complaining about?
We
We all want to know.
I don't think it was the table. They just didn't like the table they were on. They wanted another table, and I couldn't give it to them because there was somebody else sat there.
Some real world problems right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think that's almost like an analogy though of when I think of. I'll talk about myself or even my friends who I know have struggled. That hospitality thing of you always having to put that brave or that happy face on. So many of us do that with our just emotions generally. As again, can't speak for women because I'm a man, but as a man, you feel like, well, I always have to be okay. I'm fine. There's a smile on my face. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And then it was only over time where that mask just slips, where you can only be happy, perfect, smiley all the time. Like there has to be some element of a release of actually, whether it's screaming, whether it's going for a run, whether it's seeing your mates, exercising, whatever that might be. And where mine, and I think Reese's as well, where we didn't have that release, that's when it just went like, and life really got on top. So is that kind of where your story went? Was it you were?
Yeah. So yeah, I went for probably a few months where every night I'd be driving home at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning after having cashed up after a busy service, knowing full well I needed to be back in at 8, 9 a.m. to open the next day. And so the restaurant I ran in Marlow was about a 15, 20-minute drive to where I lived, and that drive was mostly single track country lanes, or well, not single track, but it was pretty narrow, and there were often times where there'd be a car sort of come in the other way, and I would visualize myself taking my seatbelt off and driving into the oncoming car. And just I think it was sort of like at the end of 7-8 days in a row of 14-hour days. I just thought, what am I doing? Like, I just don't have a life anymore. It's all it is work. And I just had a moment of, I actually did take my seatbelt off and I did start driving towards the car that was coming towards me. And there were two things that I vividly remember thinking was, oh my God, Alison, and oh my God, this person's family that I'm about to drive into. And it wasn't ever kind of, I actually did anything, but I was close, really close. And that's sort of where I kind of got to. Yeah, it was, but it was also a moment of revelation as well, because it did make me act upon things. I did go and see a doctor in Chalfont St Giles surgery where I used to live. I can't remember his name, but lovely guy. He was as good as the NHS at the time would allow him to be. I think it's gotten better now, even in that, sort of eight years or whatever it is. I think mental health services have gotten better. But even then it was, I went to see him and he prescribed antidepressants. I can't remember what particular medicine it was, but I managed to get in and see him. Got the medicine, but that really was the kind of turning point in, because it was only sort of 2 days later. I was like, I've got to talk to somebody, and all I could think about at the time was a doctor. That was it. That was the only thing I could think of. I didn't know anything about Samaritans or anything like that at the time.
I think that's the bit that I would really like to touch upon, is the process of hitting your lowest, which sounds like taking your seatbelt off, and that sounds like the lowest you got to, which is terrifying. What was the process after that? Like, did you go home and tell your wife? Did you open up to anyone? Like, what how did you get from shit, I don't want to be here anymore, to then taking the positive actions? Like, what was your thought process? How did you go about that?
I didn't tell Alison. In fact, I didn't tell her properly for quite a long time, actually. And by my own fuck up, really, she found out the sort of, I guess, some of the grim details that I sort of talked about just now, because of an article that I got approached about on Wales Online for the Newport Marathon a few years ago. But no, I mean, it was so late at night. I got home. I actually wasn't due in work the next morning for once. So I thought I was just scared. I think I was like, well, I don't really understand how I managed to get myself to that place. And so I just thought, well, I guess I need to talk to the doctor and see what is going on. Like I say, I don't remember at the time knowing anything about anything like Samaritans or any of the mental health charities that are abundant now. Everybody knows, Mind and all of these charities. There's so many of them now that you can quickly jump on the phone to. At the time, I just don't really recall there being that much obvious kind of information out there. So it was a case of calling the doctors, getting in, which I got in very quickly, and spoke to that doctor, and it was just a case of, I don't know what to do, really. I just didn't know what to do. I think I was kind of searching for answers. Here's the fix, and I think the fix at the time, I think, was, you obviously got some some depression issues. Here is some medicine.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah,
that was kind of it.
I think I think like I identify obviously quite a lot with your story, with being in the hospitality industry, the hours, the pressure, the stress and the strain it puts on you being in somewhere for such a long time. You spend most of your life like weekly life in, for me, the kitchen, obviously for you in the front of house, but it's exhausting, but you get used to it. And like for me, the way I dealt with it was by drinking. I'd finish my shift and just start drinking straight away. That was my release. I would get 1 to 2 hours sleep at night when I'd go out on the drink after, because I'd stay out so late, get a taxi home, 1 to 2 hours sleep, 3 or 4 if I'm lucky, and then back in to do it all again. And like you say, it's a badge, isn't it? That badge of honor about how many hours. I remember like the long hours that I used to be like, oh wow, I've just done a 19-hour shift. Wow, I've just done 20 hours. And like that was the longest I got to, 20 hours. But 20 hours out of a 24-hour day is just ridiculous. Like when you think about it. And I used to be buzzing at the fact that I just worked a 20-hour day, and I'd been paid for 7.5 of them.
How's that a thing?
Mad's that?
How is that actually a thing?
Are you saying something, Lewis?
Am I delayed again? Yeah.
How did you work 20 hours and only get paid for 7.5?
I can't hear anything.
Looks like Reese's headset's gone.
Nick,
you might know that. Yeah.
So, got yours back. Sorry.
How is that a thing that you can work 20 hours and only get paid 7? Like, how does that
salary?
exist?
You sign your life away.
Oh,
salary,
yes, that old.
So do you know when it hits 8 hours because you've done the extra half an hour?
It's not how it works. That's not the industry. That's not the industry.
Good luck with that.
There's not a chance.
You wouldn't be in the industry. You wouldn't get a job. You sign a contract to say you're going to work these extra hours and not get paid for it. Then if
you sign, there's a 48-hour.
Yeah.
48-hour working time working rule or whatever it's called, and you opt out of that so that you don't. Yeah. You the 48-hour maximum hours don't apply to you. That's how it works.
Wow,
that's like you working 3 hours of your normal day. Yeah, it's like you working 3 hours of your normal day, Lewis, and saying I'm going home just because I've worked my 8-hour standard shift means nothing in this world. And this is the case still.
Yeah, like I work way more hours than my normal hours. I do, but not 20-hour days. Do you know what I mean? Like I might do 10-hour days, 11-hour days, but not 20. That's just a joke. Yeah,
my record shift was 37 hours straight. That was in Singapore actually. Singapore Grand Prix weekend.
Wow.
I can imagine.
We're like a zombie.
Just straight through, kept going. I was looking forward to the end of the day, and then I got sprung on me because it was the year that, or one of the years that Sebastian Vettel won, and then they decided that they wanted to come to my club for the after party, so I had to be there because I was the face of the club. So it was a nightmare. A nightmare.
I hope you got tips.
In fact, the Red Bull team were a nightmare. They were behind the bar. They were helping themselves to whatever they wanted because they had the club to themselves for the night.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
I think I've seen as well. Like, that is exactly what it is. You just it's not like you're helping out by doing these things. It's an expectation. This is part of your life in hospitality. You're expected to do these things. You're not like it was when I was at Sleeley Hall. I'd be on like a day shift, which would be starting at 10 and finishing at 12, 1 o'clock, and it was about a 50-minute drive home. I would sometimes drive home at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I would have to be back in at 4 o'clock. So I'm setting off again at 3 o'clock to get in, and then from starting at 4 in the morning, not finishing until 7, 8 o'clock at night. That was when I decided to leave Sleeley Hall because I'd done that 3 days in a row, and I actually was driving along the A69, and I ended up in the bushes doing 60 miles an hour, and I was asleep. All I heard was beeping horns and stuff. I woke up and I went with these bushes, and I had to pull over and I lay by and go to sleep for 3 hours. And like, I could have quite easily died that day. I was lucky I didn't die. That car smashed into us or whatever. And I was like, right, okay. I was 19 years old at the time. I thought, this is no good. I moved on. But yeah, this is the life. But obviously on the other points you made as well, like with the suicide, I can identify with that a lot. And I know you mentioned like sort of the antidepressants, and there's quite a bit of a stigma around that still, I think. Like I take them now. When everything that happened, I went to the doctors, and I'd been struggling before that, and I'd been to the doctors a few times, and they tried to put us onto stuff. And I was always like, I can do it. I'll be fine. I'll get through it on my own, sort of thing. But this time, I took the help, and you know what? They have helped me, but there's not much of a warning out there for when you do start taking them that your mood drops even lower for a few weeks, and there were a few ropey weeks, but I feel like I say, I feel quite balanced now. They obviously do help, they do work. So if you're struggling, like there's no harm in taking them, sort of thing.
No, not at all.
It's like I say, it's brave for you to say that, because I think there is a bit of a stigma surrounding antidepressants and people not wanting to accept them for different reasons. But I can say they've helped me, and they are still helping me.
Yeah, I've got had a very good friend who was a DJ, so very used to the hospitality world, and he flat out refused to take them, but he wasn't really doing much else to help himself, and his poor mental health went over the balance into mental illness, and he passed away at 42, I think, 2 years ago. Just let himself go, stopped eating. There wasn't, it wasn't an instant thing with him. It took him quite a lot of effort to go. And it's, you're right, there is stigma behind it. I mean, I didn't take them. My sort of, I guess, going back to that moment of revelation, and I forget it, I went home after seeing the doctor, and I sat at the end of the bed, and I was quite a heavy smoker at the time as well. 20, 40 a day, Marlboro Reds as well. I'd always smoked Marlboro Reds for the most part. And I sat there and I went, how did it get to this point? How have I got to this point? So that's where the running comes in, because it was kind of that moment I went, I don't want these cigarettes anymore. I don't want this. I don't want to take these antidepressants. I thought I've got to look after myself better. And that's when I called my boss up and I said, I'm not coming back into work. And she said, what do you mean you're not coming back into work? And I said, you can go fuck yourself. And I hung up.
Hell yeah.
Brilliant.
Stick it to them.
If I really
did,
if I didn't like my job, I would love to do that once in my life. Just once.
Everyone
just
wants
hang
to
up
do that.
with like a fuck off. But the thing is, I like my job. So one day, if I ever don't like my job, I will definitely do that for that moment.
Well, I really didn't like my job at that time. And I did go back in. I spoke to, the HR director was actually very nice. And the CEO even came to see me, and they did try to keep me, and it was all very amicable leaving in the end, except for with my boss, because I refused her sitting in on my exit interview because I wanted to tell them about it. Interestingly, like 3 months after I left, she got caught fleecing all of the different restaurants in her area. She got done fleecing the safe in each of the restaurants, because what she was doing, and I didn't think about it at the time, but what she was doing, she was photocopying her expenses. So like her train ticket, for example, she would photocopy it and then give all the restaurants a photocopy saying, I took a photocopy of my train ticket, but I actually lost the ticket. And then finance worked out what was going on. Apparently she was funding a coke habit.
Wow.
So she obviously had her own shit going on.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like an easy industry for anyone, to be fair. That's the thing.
No, it's not. It's actually quite funny. She said you worked at Slaley Hall, because one of my best mates was head chef there about 15 years ago. Long time ago.
Trying to work out. I was probably there
maybe even longer than that.
11, 12 years ago for me. So I might have crossed paths.
Paul Kennedy, his name is.
No, he might have
From
been. He must have been before. It was the guy that was there. He was really nice, actually. And I really enjoyed working there. If it wasn't so far away, then like it probably would have been somewhere I would have liked to have stayed. But like I said about some bosses, like there was like one. I'm really good friends with him now, but there was one day I was off sick. I'd rang in sick because I literally felt ill. And I got a phone call about 12 o'clock saying, if you're not in the next hour, you don't have a job there. Yeah, you don't have a job tomorrow. And I was like, I've been being sick all day though. I feel like ill. I had to go in and I stood at the back of the kitchen and like started like just washing plates, getting stuff for them, and I just had to be there for the rest of the night. But at that point, I was out on the drink all the time, and they thought I was just hungover. But when I got in, I said, "Look, I wasn't out last night, and when I'm always hungover, I'm always in." He was like, "Okay, fair enough." But I wanted to check to see if my eyes were bloodshot, and that's the type of things you have to put up with in like this industry. It's mad, but I loved it as well. Like it's gave me some great times, great memories and stuff. And similar to you as well, with like you obviously met your wife working away. Charlotte, my partner, I met her in Bermuda. She was working out there, and so was I. And she's from North Yorkshire, and I'm from Newcastle, so not that far away as well. Yeah, it is a mental world, but it's also gives you some great experiences and life experiences and memories that you can kind of
life experience. That's a very good term to use for hospitality. I think it really does give you some life experience. I agree with that.
I worked in Mackey's for about a year, and it just made me hate people.
Well, that's what I mean by life experience. Because now there's some people I'm like, Jesus, you need a wake up call. This isn't real life. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of around then that I sort of went, well, other than finding a new job, which I went then from hospitality into recruitment, which is a hard industry as well. But I was working with some really lovely people, and I went working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. There was, the pressure was different in recruitment, but I had much more of a life and a really good bunch of people I worked with, and that's kind of where the running sort of started a little bit. I've been doing a few bits and bobs over the years, but because I was smoking and working so much, it was never really anything serious.
How old have you been at this point?
This was 8 or 9 years ago. I can never remember. Where are we now? 23. Yeah, 8 or 9 years ago.
Cool.
I just thought, well, I need to get healthy. I need to do something. I can't keep smoking. I can't keep going the way I'm going. So what do people do when they want to get fit? They run, right? That's what people do, apparently. So I thought, well, I'm going to go for a run. I literally went there and then I chucked on a pair of trainers. It was a pair of green and orange Puma Gazelles or whatever they're called. I can't remember the exact name for them, but went out on a run for them, like a pair of Converse type shoes. Went out for a run in a pair of them, managed like 2 laps around a football pitch near me, and was like, "Right, this is ridiculous. These are going to eat my feet apart." I'll go and get some proper running shoes. So, of course, I went to Sports Direct because that's the best place for running stuff. Not. But I didn't know any better at the time, and I bought a real cheap pair of like Caramore shoes, and then the next run went from being 2 laps around a football pitch to 3 laps, and then I thought, well, I'll try again and again, and I just started to really get into it. Like I said earlier, I was kind of an all or nothing sort of person, and then I found out about something called parkrun, and I went to Black Park Parkrun. First one I did, I didn't even have a barcode because I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, people going, "You've got your barcode." What do you need a barcode?
That was my first experience as well.
We know about barcode. I now know exactly what it's for. I think I did like my first one. I wasn't even registered on the results because I had no barcode, and it was like 35-minute parkrun for my first one, and then went back a few weeks later. Did it in 26 minutes. So that was my first registered one. I was like, "Ooh,
that's a big jump."
I did it in 26 minutes today, and somebody went, you got a PB. What the fuck's a PB? Their personal best. I was like, all right, what's that? And they went, well, you beat your time from last week, so now you've got a new personal best. Oh, well, I'll come back next week and see if I can get another personal best. And that's kind of how it just kept going, really. And I started getting more into it, and then I was like, well, I'm just going out and running. I wonder if there's like a proper way I should be training. So I started Googling, how to get faster. And yeah, that's when I started finding books like Matt Fitzgerald's 80-20 running and the Jack Daniels formula, not Jack Daniels and Coke, but Jack Daniels, the
less fun version of it.
Yeah. And various other books. And yeah, just kept trying to get faster and learn more about it. And then I started creeping my way towards 20 minutes and then I wanted to get under 20 minutes, and I did that, and that was kind of the start of it, really.
Yeah, that sounds very much like what my start was, in the fact that I was never a runner, now started running. But there's someone, so our producer has actually just commented here. So this is Christian saying he's terrified at running because of his size and how unfit he is, and what others will think watching him run. He does run. He has weird technique running, to be fair. What does Nick think is the best advice for trying to run more, and any tips for bigger guys?
Slow down is the first one.
Yeah.
99.9% of people I come across, Reese, are doing their slow runs, Reese, too hard, Reese.
Yeah,
you should be going out there. No, not Couch to 5K, and I'll tell you
not
why.
Couch to 5K.
I hate Couch to 5K, and I'll tell you why in a second. No, most people, because of the fitness industry with this whole go hard or go home mentality, people think that that's how they should be running as well. And I say 99% of people I come across are running too hard too often. And one of the best ways to get fitter is to slow down. I mean, I could go into talking about mitochondrial biogenesis and all kinds of stuff, but we have these little energy factories. We have these little energy factories in our cells. They're called mitochondria. They do lots of different functions around general cardiological health. But one of the things that they do with running is that they help burn fat and oxygen as a fuel source rather than carbohydrate, because carbohydrate burns very, very quickly. And the only way to develop more mitochondria, the more mitochondria you have, the more oxygen we can use as a fuel source. The only way to develop mitochondria is by exercising. And the most efficient way to develop more mitochondria is by doing very easy running. So by that, I mean, when you go out, you should be able to chat. If you were with somebody, you should be able to chat, no problem at all. Don't need heart rate monitors. They can be useful, but you don't need any of that. All you need is to sing a song to yourself or chat to the person next to you. And if you can do that, you're in the right place. And forget about your pace. Forget about what pace pops up on Strava. No one cares about your pace apart from yourself. No one. I have a hashtag on Instagram. No one gives a fuck about your pace on Strava. They don't. So nobody does.
Yeah.
They don't. For somebody who can now run a 5K in 17 minutes, which is 5:30 pace.
5 miles pace, yeah. What is that in Ks?
So,
in Ks?
3:30-ish, 3:25-ish.
Lewis can only dream of that.
I can only dream of that.
But I do my easy run. So my easy run today was 5.
Oh, have we lost Nick? Is it just me, or has everyone lost Nick?
I'm here. I've lost him, yeah.
So it sounds like Nick may have gone off for a quick run to the audience. Sorry, Nick, I think we've lost you a bit there.
I lost you all then.
Coming back. Yeah, we lost you too. You've come back.
Oh, okay.
We've just told the guest that you just quickly ran a 5K and came back to tell us. So what you're saying, you were your slow runs is what, 5:30?
Like five. Yeah, today was 5:50 kilometer pace. So that just goes to show that the difference between running hard and running easy. Eliud Kipchoge is very well known for, he might be the fastest marathoner, or he's not now, but one of the fastest marathoners alive. His easy runs are slower than mine, and that's the easiest way to build endurance fitness is by running easy. So no matter what size you are, that is one of the best things to do. Like, don't try and run too hard, because you burn out, you get injured, you get ill, all that sort of stuff. So slow it down. That's my biggest advice. And then on the couch to 5K thing, the reason I don't like couch to 5K, and again, another thing I see a lot of people fail on is couch to 5K, because run, walk isn't descriptive enough. If it was run nice and easy and then walk, run nice and easy and then walk, it'd be a lot better. But because of that go hard, go home mentality, that run segment that people do, 30 seconds run, 1 minute walk, that 30-second run, most people will run it as hard as they possibly can, because that's what they think they should do.
Yeah.
The Couch to 5K was created, fair play, it has helped a lot of people, but when I get people that come to me that have tried Couch to 5K and it hasn't worked for them, is I just get them to go out, first run, 10-15 minutes, nice and easy. And the progression people make is much more sustainable. That's why I don't like Couch to 5K.
I think that's a really good answer of why. What you just said there, though, you've literally described me again. I feel like we've done an interview before, and you just described me in this podcast. It's really awkward. So I certainly cannot run as fast as you on Reese. Like, I can't. In a sprint, I think I could be there or thereabouts, like a 100-meter sprint. But if you said go and run a 1K, I can't get near you guys, or 5K, whatever. My thing is, right, I now find 5:30 pace comfortable. Like, I'm not way stretched. I can run 10K at that pace really comfortably, and I finish it and I'm not out of breath. But as soon as I go to 4:30 pace, my body, it feels like I'm on fire. Like, I can withstand it for a few minutes. So then the mentality thing is, running at like 6:30 is so boring. If I run with someone else, it's fine, because you're just talking. As you say, you're having a conversation. It's great. But when you're running by yourself and you're running that slow, you're just like, but I can run so much faster. And it's like, how do you get out of that mentality? Like, what is there anything I can do to stop being an idiot, basically?
There's a couple of things you can do. You can listen to a good podcast and concentrate on something else. But the thing I like to do with the people I coach is, particularly in the beginning when I'm trying to get somebody to slow right down. Like, I've had a couple of people join me recently, and they've gone out, done a couple of those first easy runs, and I always kind of see if they actually follow the advice. And I look back on their half marathon PB. So somebody recently, the half marathon PB, they've gone out and done an easy run, and the pace is exactly the same. There's no difference at all. So I got her to slow down. And she's come back and gone, that was a bit hard work, and I just felt a bit ploddy, and it was a bit boring and stuff.
Yeah.
So what I do with the people, and I do it myself, is that is a perfect opportunity to practice the skill of running.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is practicing good form, because when you slow down, one of the things people tend to do is they start like plodding, and they're like, and actually. The reason I think that's a great opportunity to work on your form, because that's when you need to work on your form the most. When you're running fast, when you're running hard, the body automatically goes into finding the most efficient way to perform. So that's when your form is at its best, because your body's automatically trying to find a way to do it. So when you're on your easy runs, think, right, how am I running? Imagine there's a balloon pulling your head towards the sky. Keep yourself up nice and tall. Keep checking in with your arms and your cadence and stuff like that. Just use that as an opportunity to work on the skill of running. And it's quite amazing how your running will improve by A, running more efficiently, and B, working on your mitochondrial biogenesis.
My new favorite
Growing
phrase.
more mitochondria.
Yeah, that's it. It's my favorite phrase now. Sounds like something out of the
How
X-Men or
often
something.
do you recommend then going for like a personal best or a really quick run, like getting yourself knackered by the end of it? Do you tend to do like say is it like once a week and the rest of the week you're just like pacing yourself, getting ready for that?
Yeah, most people could benefit from one a week, some two. I do 2 hard sessions a week. But then again, I am training 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. If somebody's running 3 or 4 times a week and kind of that's their week, then I would say once is enough, because most people are also, one of those 3 or 4 runs is going to be a long run as well, which is demanding in itself. So most of your running, around 70 to 90% of your running should be easy. And that sounds like a lot, but it is. We need a lot of easy running to build that aerobic foundation. We don't actually need that much hard stuff I call it a little bit like the salt and pepper. You only need a little bit of salt and pepper to completely change the taste of your food, right? And that's how you should treat speed work. And that speed work should also then be specific for what it is you're training for.
Yeah, you'll hate my routine at the minute. Then I'm training 5 days a week, and I think 2 of them are easy sessions. So as it, I think I'm doing tomorrow. Got a 45-minute just easy run, and then 3 days of harder stuff. So progression run, 15 minutes built up. 4 of them. Friday is the 5x1K again, and Thursday I think that's another speedier session, but not full out. Not full.
But I think,
Mm-hmm.
that's what Nick's
What are you
saying.
training for at the moment?
Sorry?
And what is it you're training for at the moment?
I've got Edinburgh Marathon, I've got the Wall, and then I'm doing Rat Races Trilogy, Ben Nevis, Scarfell Pike, and Snowdon within 6 weeks of each other. All 33 miles.
Okay.
So I've got them at the back end of the year.
Okay. So what is the purpose of your current training block? What are you trying to achieve?
I've lost sound again. Sorry.
Yeah, because while Reese's sound comes back here, I think the challenge is it doesn't seem to add up. Like doing 1 km sprint type work doesn't seem to align to 33-mile races. Is that the point?
Sorry,
you're
I
getting
did lose you. I lost you
make
there for sound.
I think the point is because it doesn't really make sense to me actually why you're doing 5 times 1 km speed work if you're then going to do 33 miles. Should you not be trying to get like a mid pace longer versus a short pace faster?
Yeah.
When is your race? When is your next race?
So I've got I've got a half marathon in 2 weeks. I've got Edinburgh back end of May, 3 weeks after the Wall.
Okay.
So
half marathon race in 2 weeks. How much half marathon pace training have you done?
1 a week.
Okay. What's your half marathon pace?
Well, actually, it's slower than my half marathon pace. So I've been doing that at about 8 minutes, if not a little bit quicker. And I'm hoping to do about 7 minutes, maybe a bit quicker for my half marathon.
Okay. You need a coach, Reese.
Keep losing sound. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, he's lost his sound.
Oh,
again.
convenient time.
Yeah.
Convenient time.
Tell him what to do and he can't hear it.
Yeah.
What was that?
You said you
I said you need a coach.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I like my speed sessions, and it's also I am trying to. I've got like cross country, and I'm doing my 5Ks and stuff for Wallsend. I did like a relays yesterday, which was only 3K. I did the 3K in 9:53. So
What?
like my
That's crazy.
my like. I am also focusing on the shorter stuff as well. Like when me and you done on your podcast, I said, yeah, I could not break that sub 20. And I was getting about 20, 30, and that was it. I could not break it. And then just off doing like this running stuff, probably a few weeks of it and stopping the tabs as well, that helped quite a lot. I then I was doing a 10K actually, and I sort of set off and I was right at the front, so I kind of felt like I had to go a bit quicker. And then I knew I was on for a sub 25K. I thought I'm just going to stick with it, and I did a 1940. And then I hung on for a 41.49. And then 2 days later, I was doing a 5K, so I just went for it, and I done a 1926. My next one, I'm looking to do sub 19, if not quicker. So I'm trying. I like my shorter distances as well, and I've got like 5Ks and 10Ks coming up, so I'm trying to get at a decent level for that while also training for the longer stuff. So yesterday I did, after I'd done that 3K relay race, I did a just 9 and a bit mile run at the 8 mile pace, and I felt comfortable the whole way through that. I guess I've got a few goals for the wall. Which I've told Lise about. Lewis said I've got no chance of doing it, but not my main one. My ultimate goal is to win it, and the time was 9:54 this year, the winning time, and I want to beat that.
Yeah, I suppose my question, Nick, is
sound again.
Is it possible to train for both? Is it possible to train for the distance and the short?
I was just going to say, but he's lost his sound again.
Yeah,
but
I've got yours.
I was going to say you've just got to be. So in fact I had a conversation with one of my runners about this the other day. That be quite specific about what your goal is. It's okay to have some sub goals, but you can't have. I mean, do you know what? You can do whatever you want, but if you've got, I want to get super fast at 5K and I want to win, a 33 mile ultra marathon, and I want to do a half marathon, and I want to do a marathon. I've got 6 races with, and you're doing 3 speed sessions a week. Like, you're in the realms of you're going to get injured.
Yeah,
you are going to get injured. You've got to focus on something. I know you now, Reece, and I know you want to perform. So, getting quite specific about what training you're doing is going to be more important the more you progress through your running. At the moment, you're seeing lots of progression, but you are quite a new runner. You're a talented runner, and that talent's coming out pretty quickly. But it needs to be honed in the right way, because I worry with all that level of intensity and volume on top of each other, because that's the thing with my coaching. It's kind of right. Volume goes up, intensity comes down, and then the closer you get towards your main race, the more specific you get with your training. To answer your question about is it possible to do both? Look, I did my half marathon PB whilst training for a 50 mile ultra marathon in the mountains. So yes, and actually my sort of little tagline for my coaching business is get fast, get strong, run long. So yes, it is possible, but with the right level of balance.
So, because I suppose my question for you, Reece, then would be, because again, I've been doing a bit of strength and conditioning work. So previously I played sport at a decent level, like football that is, and did lots of strength and conditioning as a youngster.
2-4 Lewis.
So then at 30, I'm going to ignore that. Then at 30, I'm now getting back into that like routine of trying to get athletic and powerful again. Reece, do you do much strength and conditioning work? Because I think that's where your big injury prevention comes in, like your deadlifts, your squats, whatever, to make sure that you're getting the recovery too. What does that look like for you?
2 days a week I'm in the gym as well, so normally 2 days a week, 3 days a week I'll be doing some of my sessions on a treadmill, and then when I'm in the treadmill I'll go and like do some weights as well. And after the weights I'll go and do some swimming, finished off with a little sauna and a jacuzzi. But the swimming, I'm finding the swimming's really good. It's hard. Swimming's hard work, and it's like good for your full body, really.
But you're rubbish at swimming in the sea, aren't you? Because you're scared to get in.
And me, I hate it. That's my only phobia. Open water.
Isn't phobia.
I've got an advanced paddy. get me under the water, no problem.
Yeah.
On the surface, though, I'm shit scared.
Yeah. He's just scared of the cold. That's it.
Yeah,
He
I'm
once
terrified.
asked a couple of us to go in. It was like 7 o'clock in September, North Sea. So we get in first, and he's there stood on the edge. Oh, it's too cold. It's too cold.
Yeah, that's it. I think, but that cold water stuff, that's great for recovery as well.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, it's now far too cold. I'm cold before I've even got to the beach. Never mind trying to take my kit off and walk into the sea. So I've sacked that off completely now. It's just past that time for me. I'll wait until it starts getting warmer, but that is really beneficial as well. Help with recovery. I've got a nice bath in my garden. That was in my garden, and now it's back in the box. But I do plan on getting that back out. I guess I know the speed sessions and stuff, but like for me as well, like I normally get quite lazy in the winter because I don't like the cold. I normally go into a bit of hibernation, don't really do much. I guess I lose motivation quite quickly. I always have. And I think having those speed sessions in they're the ones that sort of keep me motivated to keep going. And then the longer runs, I'm like, but I do them because I know they're beneficial. And like you said as well, like when you are training for your longer stuff, your other times came down. That happened when I was training for the wall last year, and that was when I was in full alcoholic mode. I even drank 6 pints the night before I'd done the wall, which was only about 6 hours before. So I've got, and then the goal setting thing, like you said, my main goal for this year is the wall. That's what I want to do best in, and I am going. Like I say, I have got the 3 goals. One was my aim for last year, which was to finish before it was dark, so about 14 hours. Next one, sub 12 hours. And then the next one, sub 10 hours. If sub 10 hours gets us the win from this year, but whether it does it next year or not is a different question. But sub 10, sub 12, sub 14.
Nice.
I can't even comprehend running that far. I'm gonna be honest. Like I ran 2.5 hours, failed in a marathon, and that was it. Like my body.
Tell Nick about tell Nick about this one.
Marathon. Oh god. So like my mileage is creeping up, and I was running sort of pretty much every day. I would say every other day. Like I say, but I was probably running too quick though. Being honest, well, I definitely ran the half marathon too quick. I was running like 5:30, 5:40 pace till about 17k, and that's like if you know that 4:30 is near my limit, or probably is my limit I'm running far too quick. So I was definitely on for a sub 4-hour marathon, which the first time you run a marathon anywhere near that distance is far too quick. So I got to 18k or 17.5, body's absolutely fine. I'm flying. I feel like I'm running slow. Got a 3-hour podcast on. I'm more worried about the podcast going to end. What am I going to listen to than my body breaking down? My left calf went. I was messaging Reese on the morning, like, I'm just going to get up and run a marathon today because football got cancelled. He was like, what? I had no gels, no water, nothing.
I was just going to ask, did you fuel with anything?
Nah, I didn't
No.
fuck. But I've learned. It's a massive learning
water,
curve.
anything.
Yeah, it's a massive
not a
learning
single
curve.
thing.
No, but look, you don't know what you don't know until you try. And I've tried it, and I
True.
couldn't do it. I got to 27k, so I ran another 8-9k with my calf. Every step was just burning and burning and burning more. And to be fair, I'm quite lucky.
Yeah.
It only hurt for like 3 days, and then it was all right. So I'm quite pleased it wasn't actually that bad. But yeah, I think let's put the conversation back to Nick, because whilst it's great talking about our running, we can talk about this at any time. Nick, what does your recovery look like? What do your goals look like now with running? What are you looking to achieve?
Yeah, well, I mean, after I sort of got good at as I started to get better at parkrun, and it was literally the day I went under 20 minutes. I went, well, it's time for a marathon now, surely. I signed up to Brighton and had a total nightmare. I finished it, but yeah, it was nowhere near what really I could and should have done. But like you say, you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know fuck all at the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But it was after that then that I really got into running and nerding out on it. I got really geeky, and that's kind of where. So in my day job, I'm in charge of learning and development now. So I'm kind of always around helping people develop themselves. And as I started to learn more about running, and I got myself a coach sort of quite soon after my Brighton disaster, and learned quite a bit from them. And then I entered my first ultramarathon. Was it in 2020? It was the day of Storm Kiara. Was my first one. February, I want to say the 18th of 2020. Brecon to Cardiff, and came ninth.
Wow, well
out
done.
of 527, I think, or so, 529 starters. Wow. In biblical rain, and kind of that was kind of the start of it for me. Then was like, right, like I properly love this running stuff. I want to win ultramarathons now, and I've won a couple since. And yeah, that was kind of where the coaching came in. But going to your question about recovery, then this is kind of how I think of training now, because we can always think about running as in how many miles are we doing, how fast are we running, but actually there's so much more to being a good runner than just running. And recovery for me is eating well, hydrating well, and sleeping well, because those are the absolute basics of recovery. I did a podcast on this with a physio friend of mine. And there's all these things out there: ice baths, massage guns, Normatec, the moon boots that squeeze your legs, and there's all of these things out there, and they're all very useful, but only if you are world class at the basics. Instead of trying to be basic at the world class, be world class at the basics. And those basics are getting a good night's sleep, eating well, and hydrating well. And I say to the people I coach all the time, they come to me, "Oh, Nick, I think I might start doing ice baths." I'm like, okay, cool. How did you sleep last night? Oh shit, I only had 3 hours sleep. Right. Fuck the ice bath. I want you to focus on getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
What did you eat after? What did you eat after that long run? Nothing. I just went straight to doing something. I didn't bother eating anything. Right, bollocks to the ice bath. I wanted to concentrate on eating properly, and so that's what recovery looks like to me: is eating well, hydrating well, and that just means literally having 2-3 liters of water a day, sleeping well, and then management of training load as well. And that's where I come onto things like how much hard running should we do, and actually how much running can we do within the time that we've got, because you see these plans on the internet that are, let's say the rat race, the wall. There'll be training plans out there on the internet for it, and we could go and pull one of those off, and it could say you need to do 80 miles a week with your peak week being 100-mile week. And I see people all the time trying to go out and do that kind of mileage because that's what it says on the plan, but that doesn't fit with that person's life. And it's management of that training load that is one of the big things as well. So yeah, no fancy answer really. I just try and sleep 7-8 hours a night.
Yeah.
I try and eat well. I try and make sure I drink plenty, and that's about as sexy as it needs to get.
But I like simple though.
Yeah, but once I nailed all that, it was then right. Okay, now what can I do? So the next best thing is getting a massage once a month with a sports therapist. I did have an ice bath, not for recovery though. Actually, sorry, Reece, they're not that good for recovery because it depends on when you use them. So, like, if you use it first thing in the morning, before you've done anything, it's actually a really good way to. In fact, there's some science around immersing yourself in cold water raises your body temperature quite quickly, which is what we need to do first thing in the morning, is get our body temperature up, and it then translates into having a better night's sleep. Hot baths, those are good. Actually, blood circulation. The thing with ice baths is that they reduce inflammation. Chronic inflammation is not good for us, but inflammation after exercise is actually, that's the body's process of then
healing,
adapting to the training that we've done. So I actually, one of the things I took to the tip yesterday was my ice bath.
Wow.
Because it had a hole in it, mostly. It had a very slow hole in it, but I was like, do you know what? I'm not really using it. I just need to get back on concentrating on sleeping. And then you can add in things like yoga and mobility, that sort of stuff as well. But yeah, get world class at the basics.
Yeah, I'm about as flexible as a plank of wood, so that makes sense. Why?
That's
why I'm not doing a sub 20. That's the only reason, isn't it? Because I don't.
I'd love to say it is, but honestly,
it's definitely
I hardly
my sleep
do
as
any
well.
stretching at all.
Yeah.
Sleep is massive.
I remember. I can't remember his name. Who's the guy who won all of the CrossFit stuff? But he retired. Matt Fraser. Yeah, he did. I seen a video of him yesterday or the day before saying, if sleep was a drug, it would be banned for how good it is for us.
Yeah.
It's the one thing. It's like a cheat code to life. Like, it helps you recover after training. If you're feeling unwell, your body recovers better in sleep than any other time. But so many of us take that for granted. We'll stay up too late. Especially lots of my mates, they'll sit up gaming because they're 12, but they're not. They're 30, and they'll sit up gaming till like 2 in the morning.
Mates though.
I don't. You're the closest friend I have to being 12, and you're what, 24?
I am.
Yeah, so
That's
there we
sleep,
go.
though. That's
Double the age of most of your mates.
Yeah, true.
That's sleep. Like when I was drinking, I was averaging about 4 hours sleep a night, and then since stopping, like I now can't function if I don't get like 7.5, 8 hours sleep, and everything works better. And that's why I think like this last week or so, I've struggled so much because my sleeping's been so bad. I'm waking up 3-4 times a night, or I'm not able to actually get to sleep at night, and then still waking up. And yeah, I can definitely feel the effects of even like my body, how tired it is. Yesterday I done 9 miles and I felt really aching today, but I think it's because I've had like 4 hours sleep the last 2 nights, and it's just it's so important. And the water as well, like you say, I drink bucket loads of it now. It's great.
Yeah, I do. I add into my water intake, and actually, I drink one of these every night, a sleepy tea.
What's
this
in it?
particular one this is a Wittard one. This particular one, but I think the active ingredients are, I think, like chamomile, valerian root. I think is one of the active ingredients, and you can get various different variations of them, lavender and things like that. But yeah, that's a Wittard's one. The M&S Dreamy one is quite nice. Yeah, I have one of those.
Is that ram payday? That one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's on special occasions. That one.
Special occasions, yeah, 100%.
Alison, I'm getting the specialty.
That's it, 100%. Yeah, my sleep's definitely my problem at the minute, especially with my shoulder. I'm like I said, I'm getting like 3-4 hours, but I'm really bad. Like I have good habits for a while, and then I just go off the wagon, and then I self-sabotage. Well, I've eaten bad today, so I might as well eat bad tomorrow. I haven't ran today, so I might as well not run tomorrow. Like, I need to get better mentally at having, because when I have structure in my life, I feel like I'm absolutely in control of my shit. But as soon as I'm not, I'm like, I can so easily just throw it all out the window, and then I've got to work hard for 3 weeks to get back to that 1 week that I tossed it off.
It's easy to do.
Yeah, 100%. I'm conscious of time because you said 9 o'clock ish. Are you needing to drop? If you are,
no, I'm good. I'm cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm cool.
So you did touch upon at the start as well around like life's maybe not where everything's not maybe perfect, and you didn't want to go into it too much. I don't know what this is, so what is life for you?
Yeah, so Yeah, so my wife's health isn't quite where we would like it to be.
Oh God.
Last March last year, she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Fucking hell.
She had a 6.2 centimeter, so 62 millimeter tumor in her right breast, and then they thought it was in her lymph nodes in her neck, and they were worried about her liver and her pelvic bone as well. Excuse me, her pelvic bone as well. All of that got cleared up in terms of the neck and the liver and the pelvic bone and stuff. She went through chemotherapy first, then she had a right breast mastectomy. Then she went through radiotherapy, and by the time she had such a good response to chemo that the tumor had gone from 6.2 centimeters to just 4 millimeters. The surgeon said at the time, so that's one of the best responses I've ever seen to surgery, and there was nothing in her lymph nodes, no evidence of disease at all. So yeah, she went through radiotherapy, and we sort of, other than her going through 3 weekly injections of this drug for the specific type of cancer that she had, we were kind of thinking we were pretty much on the home straight. She even got to ring the bell, when they signify the end of cancer treatment. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, and then this year there was sort of a couple of days where she got a few headaches that were just a bit uncharacteristic for her. And then there was one night we were sort of sat down and she got up and she went all like dizzy and couldn't see anything. And we thought, you stood up too quickly. She went, it doesn't feel like one of those lightheaded moments. It's literally, I just can't see. That only lasted for a couple of minutes, but so then when we were visiting the oncologist, she just mentioned it to the oncologist in passing, and the oncologist sort of went, well, let's just get some tests done. So she got an MRI done. And then, the next day I was actually over in Wales running with a friend, and I was on top of one of the mountains in around Abergavenny called the Sugarloaf. And I took my phone out to take a picture, and I could see 5 missed calls from her only within the last couple of minutes. And I called her straight back, and she said, "Nick, it's in my brain. So it's stage 4 brain metastases now. So, and the type of cancer she has is called HER2, which is pretty aggressive. So not the best situation to be in, but at the moment she's responding really well to treatment. We don't know, we've never really asked how many tumors she has. All we know is that there are multiple, and they're on both sides of her brain. And you can't be cured from stage 4 cancer. They don't ever say you're cured from it. There is a possibility that she could get to NED, which is no evidence of disease. But it's kind of a fight that's going to be on now. She's in chemotherapy, as far as we know, for the rest of her life now. Which, with a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old is pretty shit. And actually, that's why I was saying earlier that I'm not really kind of celebrating that the missus is away, because actually,
no, of course not.
Yes, yesterday was a little bit of it was like, fuck, is this what it's going to be like when she's not here? So yeah,
I am
sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold tears in here. I'm being honest. I am fucking so sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. The good news is that she is responding really, really well. She's had 11, 12 rounds so far of this drug that she's on now, which is called Enhertu, which has been held as a bit of a wonder drug for cancer, for her particular type of cancer. She is responding really well. She's had 3 lots of scans done now to see how she's getting on, and every single one of them has shown that the cancer is shrinking, and actually some of the tumours that were there are not there now, but we do still have these stark reminders of the reality. But because she's in Japan at the moment, and she's just found out today. She went on a retreat with a cancer charity called Shine that support sort of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are diagnosed with life-limiting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's like 6 or 7 of them, women, all in exactly the same situation, all with secondary breast cancer, all on the same drug. And that was only 3 months ago, and 2 of the women that she met now have both passed away. So it's pretty brutal reminders sometimes.
Yeah.
So where we're at.
How are you? Like, how are you coping? Like on a human level, like it sounds fucking horrible, like scary, and I get all of that, but like, are you getting any support? Do the charities offer you any help? What a work like? I don't understand how you do it all, being a dad and that as well. It's yeah.
I mean, it's in my non-running life. I still work 4 days a week in a fairly senior role in a company that have been amazing, like absolutely amazing. I'm very lucky that I've got private healthcare, so any access to any services I need, I have had. I have done some counselling sessions. I mean, the counsellor did say, I kind of don't know what to do with you, because you've got your running, it really grinds you, and this is kind of where I come back to all the time with my running, is that yes, I'm out there running 17-minute 5Ks and sub 4 hour 50Ks, and running off in the mountains and doing all this stuff, but ultimately I still run for my mind. My arse just follows, and that's how I cope. That's how I cope. It's with my running and just focusing on my boys, and I've just got to get on with it. There's times where Ali isn't feeling great, and I've just got to get on with it. I can't, and actually I can't not get on with it. But also, what good does moping around all the time, particularly when it is life limiting? I don't know if in a month we go for our next scan and the cancer's going the wrong way. It might not be for 20 years. I keep joking that we're going to be sat there on her 65th birthday going, still fucking here. With a glass of bubbly in our hands. I keep joking. And that's sort of 18, 19 years away. But that's why I keep saying, let's just keep living our lives the best we can and appreciate the moments we've got. Like, she was really nervous about going to Japan because of what she's got going on. But she's gone she's a director at the company she works at. So, and they've just been bought out by a Japanese company, hence she's over there. I'm like, you're only going over there for 2 days of work. You're there for a week. Go and enjoy it. I mean, you've wanted
go and live your life. Yeah.
I absolutely lap it up. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine with the boys. And actually, the house is the tidiest it's been in 3 years. And I'm loving it. I'm gonna enjoy that for a week, because you'll come back and a suitcase will be strewn everywhere. And but it's shit sometimes, really shit.
Yeah.
But, we went on holiday a couple of weeks ago to Corfu, and we renewed our vows. We basically got married again. That was
amazing.
Oh, that's class.
That was really nice, and just keep appreciating everything we've got. And we just bought a Mercedes Sprinter. We're getting it converted into a proper good camper van, because we had a van, but we enjoy our little adventures, and when we get that, it'll be every weekend. Like I said,
Yeah,
we might
100%.
sell the house because we're never going to be here. You know,
Yeah,
that's how we cope. But yeah, it doesn't make it easy.
yeah. Do you know what? And not because of what you've said, but I don't really know where to take. This is being really honest. Like from a human level, I kind of want to stop the podcast. We're not going to, because I feel it's not the nicest way to end a podcast on that. But from a human level, I just want to give you a hug, like, and just be like, mate, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? Like, you sound genuinely. We've only met tonight, but just such an incredible bloke. And yeah, honestly, to show how strong you've been, one, sharing that story, but equally your story as well, from where you were to where you are, and how you've turned. And I know you may feel like we all do, that you haven't maybe turned your life around fully, because we all have our flaws, and we're always battling them, because that's what mental health and health really is. But like, I've listened to you tonight, and you're nothing short of a huge inspiration. And yeah, that I'm listening, going,
me trying to get through each day. Honestly,
I get it. But some like me, as a bloke who is probably a few years behind your recovery, a year ago I didn't want to be here, and I didn't quite drive my car at another car, but I was stood at a train track, and a train was coming, and there was a pounding thought in my brain to step in front of it. And hearing how you did it through exercise and stuff, and that's the only, like, I hate running. You and Reese tell me that you love running. I hate it, but I love what it makes me feel. And it makes me feel that no matter what's going on in my life, nothing's harder than that 10K, or nothing's harder than that 20K. It's just not. Like, not physically, it might be mentally, but mentally, if you're running long enough, it's pretty hard. And if I have a bad day at work, or I don't see my son for a couple of days, or my we're having discussions about certain things or whatever, like, it does seem to get a little bit easier. So hearing that that's helped you, and is still helping you through some of your stuff, and Reese through his stuff as well, like, it makes me think that I'm doing some of the right things. And yeah, it's hard to know where to go from it, because, as I say, I don't feel I want to say everything I want to say on a podcast, because it's not about that. It's about saying, as a bloke, you're just sound incredible, and I'm really sorry to hear what you're going through, and your wife and your family, genuinely.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
I say it's tough, but we have a lot of really good times. I mean, it helps that my wife does very well with her job, and mine isn't too bad, and we can afford to do some nice things, and pretty much every weekend. I mean, it's a good job we have that. Because we couldn't sit around the house like we used to. Two years ago, it was like, oh, we'll just chill out today. Like, we can't. We start to stir and talk about stuff we don't want. So we are a pretty busy family. Sometimes too busy.
I
think there was about 10 weeks in a row where we were like in Dorset every weekend, or Devon, or on holiday somewhere or something. I'm like, fucking hell, can we just like spend a day at that?
Where are you actually from? Your accent sounds like southwesty-ish.
Yeah, so I live in just outside of Bath.
Yeah, Somerset.
But I'm from Abergavenny in South Wales originally.
Yeah, I thought I could detect some
I
Welsh.
moved away a long time ago. So yeah.
I was born in Brecon. Where did you say your missus was from? Did you say she's from Hartlepool?
She's from Hartlepool. You were born in Brecon. Well, that's down the road.
So I was born in Brecon, but I lived most of my life in Hartlepool.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's from. Oh God, what's the name of the road? She always talks about it, and I can't remember it now. But yeah, down on the seafront, sort of towards the South Shields. No, not South Shields. What's it called?
Seaton.
Seaton. That's it. Thank you.
That's where my brother lives. My brother lives there. So So James is actually my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister.
Okay.
For my sins. We got stuck with him.
He's a Mackham.
He's a Mackham, yeah, and we're all Geordies as well, which isn't great.
I don't know how he's on this podcast, to be honest.
Well, we had to have a token Mackham just to like tick the box. It was part of
diversity in it.
Yeah. And I'm the bald one. James is the slightly ginger Mackham one. So like he ticks 2 boxes. And he's the young one. There's 3 boxes. Yeah, you're fine, mate. Oh, you don't want to know what we call you.
I was going to say, I don't really think I want to know. What you said before, Lewis, I was just finding on my phone before. There was a reel I found on Facebook and I shared it in my story the other day, and it was they were talking about drugs make you feel good in the moment but terrible afterwards, whereas running makes you feel terrible during, but amazing afterwards. And that is true, because you like, especially on like I love it because I love my speed sessions. I love how ruined it makes us feel, but I know some people, like you say, you don't enjoy it when you're running stuff, but you do feel amazing afterwards, and that's the benefit that running does give you.
I think.
Yeah, I love the way running makes me feel, even when it's hurting. I love it. Love the way it makes me feel.
If you said to me, Lewis, do you want to go and play football, and I'll run way harder in football than I would on a run, I love that. But I suppose what I do love is the going for a run and talking to someone. So Dean, who's one of the presenters, 2 on here, but he wasn't on tonight. Me and him tend to run, and he's way better at the slow running than me. He'll run at 6:30 pace, really happily. He's like, no, it's all about being in the heart rate zone. He does that really well. But yeah, I enjoy those ones. But then going by myself, I don't. But yeah, there's lots of things that I need to get better at with the running. So I've definitely made some notes and tips as we've been going, actually. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. Is there anything else we wanted to cover? I'm just conscious that I've seen Nick yawn twice, and I know it's the end of the day.
I did say 9 o'clock is my bedtime normally, because I get up at 5 to train. So I'm I can feel myself drifting off, and my sleepy tea's kicked in as well.
That's it. Yeah, it's kicked in. Well, we can leave it there. So I'm sure we can get you back on in the future as well, because it's been so informative. I've learned loads, and we probably have 100 more questions, especially around the running. So yeah, where can people find you? Because there's lots of people who listen to us who do run, actually. We get comments all the time about it. Where can they find you? And reach out and stuff?
Yeah, my website is maximummileage.com, which is actually the name of that was born out of my sons called Max and Miles. I was sat at the breakfast table like a week having, what shall I call this coaching business? And I just sat there and I looked at him and went, oh my fucking God, Max, Miles, maximum mileage.
In front of you the whole time.
Yeah.
And then everybody thinks I named my sons just so I could name my coaching business, but I'm not that sick. Yeah, so maximummileagecoaching.com. I'm on Instagram. It's probably one of the best places to get me, which is Run with Nick. Simple as that, Run with Nick.
Makes sense.
And that's it. A few places.
Cool. And your
probably easiest.
Yeah.
And my
podcast as well.
Yeah, let's plug the podcast. 100%.
I'll
have to have a listen to it.
Running podcast. Yes, Maximum Mileage Running Podcast. Simple as that. It's on all platforms, including, as of today, YouTube, which I didn't know there was a thing on there.
Do you use StreamYard or anything for your podcast? What do you use to record?
No, Reese sent me Streamlabs the other day, and then I've realised I've come on here to use StreamYard. I'm going to ask you about this after we've done recording, but no, I just use Zoom.
Use Zoom, yeah. We tried Zoom. You just don't have the functionality on some of it, so I'm going to show off a little bit. Like we can change layouts and quite easily. Someone be
get that off.
Yeah, get that off. But you can change all the layouts quite easily and stuff, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
You've got an amazing podcast out. I can't remember who the guest was. I think his name was Reese Calvert.
Shut up.
Oh, that knobber. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Wouldn't recommend having him as a guest.
What were you, episode 7, 8? I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I think so. I really enjoyed it though. And I've really enjoyed this as well.
Yeah, me too.
No,
How have you found actually doing a podcast? How have you found doing a podcast actually for you? Because it's changed my life actually.
I love it. I mean, like some of the guests I'm getting on. So this week's episode coming out on Thursday is with a guy called Dr. Richard Blagrove, and he wrote a book that I follow quite a few of the principles from, called Strength and Conditioning for Endurance Runners. Pretty straightforward title, does exactly what it says on the tin. And I just reached out to him and was like, "Do you fancy coming on the podcast?" And what I'm finding with the podcast is, also I've had some really interesting guests from just their story point of view, and then some of my episodes are sort of me giving value to. Actually, some of them are recordings of me talking to my athletes. So there's loads of like nuggets of information in those episodes. But then there's some of those episodes that have actually been kind of like the next level of education for me as a coach, by talking to some of these experts around the industry, really. So talking to Richard was great. Mike James a few weeks ago was great. And then a few kind of elite athletes like Beth Pascal, who won the Western States 100. My coach Holly, because I've got a coach as well. She's an elite ultra runner and former professional marathon runner. I've just learned so much from these people. So yeah, that's kind of one of the things I personally got out of it is just learning more and new stuff. Really, I love it. Love it.
I will definitely be giving it a follow. 100%. It's
going to say Lou would probably benefit you.
Yeah, massively. I think.
Yeah, listen to the first episodes and work your way through.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, there's lots of value to be had, and working on some new guests now. I'm quite lucky that I'm coached by Holly, and she knows everybody. She's the former. She used to host Marathon Talk, which was like 400 episodes, I think she did.
Wow!
So she's interviewed lots of quite well-known people.
Cool people.
So I'm trying to dive into her.
Pick her brains. Yeah, 100%. That's all it's about.
Yeah, it's good. I love it. I love doing the podcast. It's good.
Yeah. No, amazing. Okay. Well, listeners, live never has huge audience. This obviously goes out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube, live on Facebook, live on my LinkedIn, live on the Everyman's LinkedIn. And thank you all for listening. But
YouTube.
We will YouTube. I'm sure I said YouTube. We will catch you next week. Reese, is it yours next week, or is it one of my guests next week? One of mine.
We're free. Yeah, one of yours.
One of mine. Cool. All right. Well, we will catch you all next week, and thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.